Hi everyone, welcome back to another deck help. Today we'll be looking at the great beast, Volibear. Another one of the original 4 trial decks. This is a deck for those who like a simple, giant unit go mechanic in which you can overwhelm your opponent if they're not careful. As always, we'll be looking at the legendary unit, the battlefields, the main deck cards, as well as honorary cards that even though they're not part of my deck, they're really good in it as well. Now, before we start, please consider following. I want to get clear that any of these decks are not the definite way to play them. These are just decks I built in a way to fully understand how a character works. They are more like a base on where to work from, and everybody is more than welcome to either copy and or modify any of the decks to better suit their playstyle and as time passes, the current meta. Honorary mentions of cards that are not part of the main deck but are super helpful as well will be mentioned at the end, so make sure to stay tuned for those. Let us now look at Volibear. Volibear is another character with a passive ability, but a very strong one. His ability states, when you play a mighty unit, you may exhaust me to channel 1 root exhausted, meaning once you play a mighty unit, you can exhaust Volibear to grab the top rune of your rune deck and play it on the board exhausted. As a reminder, a mighty unit is a unit that has a might of 5 or above. This means that every or even most units on this deck has a big number in their might. At the same time, a lot of these units have a high cost, so you will find yourself playing about 1 or 2 units per turn. Luckily, Volibear is on the body domain, which are the orange runes. This domain specializes on ramping runes very fast, and with Volibear, you will be having a lot more runes. Really fast. This, on top of Volibear's ability, you are going to channel runes a lot faster every turn. Volibear is also in the Fury domain, aka the red runes, which as mentioned before, it's a very aggressive domain that is all about dealing damage and raiding units. With this domain combination, Volibear can be a force to be scared of. And as previously stated, you could play only one domain, either red or orange, to have the ultimate consistency, but you will be denying the tools from the other one you didn't pick, so I will be playing both. Let us now look at the battlefields. Out of all the battlefields that are available in Origins, there are 3 that I like for Volibear: Sigil of Storm, Fortified Position, and Obelisk of Power. For game 1, I always choose Sigil of the Storm. This powerful battlefield looks super scary at first, but that is what you want your opponent to feel as well. This battlefield states, when you conquer here, recycle 1 of your runes. This obviously looks like a negative effect, but hear me out. Volibear doesn't really care, and here's why. Early game, you can just take over your opponent's battlefield and have a strong unit to hold it. Your opponent now has 2 options: either fight your scary unit or get a free battlefield while they recycle their runes. On top of that, with all the ramping that Volibear does, recycling 1 rune is actually nothing. On a normal deck, you only get 2 runes per turn. On an average turn, Volibear gets 3 to 4. So even if you go -1 rune, you're either back to normal or you're still 1 more rune than your opponent. The second battlefield is Fortified Position. This battlefield has a simple effect of, when you defend here, choose a unit, it gains Shield 2. Shield 2 is an ability that increases your might by 2, but only as a defender. As previously mentioned, a lot of your units are already big, so giving that extra 2 will make 1 unit a giant that is going to make a very difficult thing to deal with for your opponent. And even if your opponent takes the battlefield, your units will easily overrun your opponent's unit, even if they get the +2 from the battlefield. The final battlefield is Obelisk of Power. This one is by far the simplest out of the battlefields. This battlefield reads, at the start of each player's first beginning phase, that player channels 1 rune. It only gives you that extra rune on the first turn, but if you are going second, this would mean that you are starting the game with 4 runes, which can give you that early edge during the early game. Whether if it's cards that allow you to channel runes or units that will help you channel or conquer early, this one is perfect for that game 2 or 3 when you know that you're going second. Just like with almost every hero so far, every legend has 2 chosen champions to choose from. The ones from Volibear are Volibear Furious and Volibear Imposing. Let us see them more in detail. Volibear Furious is a 10 energy, 2 power drop unit with 2 abilities, the first ability being Deflect 2. Deflect 2 is an ability that protects you by making your opponent pay 2 more additional power of any color in order to choose your unit as a target of their spell or ability. As an example, if you have Volibear on your battlefield and your opponent plays Rebuke, they must first pay 2 energy and 2 purple power to play it. But if they wish to target Volibear, they must pay 2 more additional power of any color, meaning they paid a total of 2 energy and 4 power just to use this card on Volibear. Volibear Fury's second ability is as such. When I attack, deal 5 damage split among any number of enemy units here. This ability is a very strong one. It basically allows you to deal 5 free damage before the fight even begins. You can kinda imagine as if Volibear had a might of 14. This only works as an attacker though, so be careful when defending and keep that in mind. Volibear Imposing is one of the few units in the game with a base cost of 12 energy, meaning you have to wait until you have all of your runes in the board just to use them all to bring him out. For any other deck, this takes forever before you're able to get to 12 runes, but not with Volibear. By mid to late game, you will be having all 12 runes ready to be played every turn. If you already have a solid board to defend yourself with, using one turn to bring him down, it's not that bad, especially with his abilities, and if you bring him down on the battlefield that you control. He has a might of 10, with tank and shield 3. Shield 3 is an ability that increases your might by 3 when defending, so when it's your opponent's attack, you go from 10 to 13 might, and with tank, your opponent must choose him as a target before they can target anything else. And going over 13 might, it's not that easy. Due to the stats, I do like playing 3 of the Furious, while only playing 1 of the Imposing. Overall, both of these are great options. Volibear Furious is good for attacking, while Imposing is a great defender, but considering what I want first game, I will always start a game with Furious while saving Imposing for that game in which I gotta defend my second victory. Volibear's signature spell is Stormbringer. This is a spell card with a cost of 6 energy and 2 power of either red or orange. It has the insane ability of choose a friendly unit in your base, deal damage equal to its might to all enemy units at a battlefield, then move your unit there. The plan for this card is to basically drop a mighty unit down, play this, deal 5+ damage to an entire battlefield, then move your exhausted unit there, which is really good, especially against decks like Victor or Jinx that spam a lot of units. However, you won't be fighting those decks all the time. Plus, with the other cards in the main deck, your units will be doing a good job of getting rid of units. A lot of games I've just kept it in my hand without needing to use it. Due to this, I like playing just 2, and then just keeping the third one in the side deck for those decks that spam a lot of units into the board. Now that we've seen the setup cards, let us now move into the main deck. As per usual, I'll be going from the cheapest energy cost to the highest. With this deck, a lot of cards will have high cost, even your relatively low cost. This includes cards like Confront, a 2 energy cost spell with an effect that allows your units to come in ready and lets you draw 1 card. Considering you're only dropping 1 or 2 units per turn, this card is only useful late game, but it's also very useful to have. So with both the pros and the cons, this card sits as a 2 of. Mobilize, on the other hand, is a must of a 3 of. As a 2 cost, this card lets you channel 1 rune exhausted. Really good for you to start ramping those runes really fast, and even if you're at 12, it's a good draw 1 card. This one is one of those cards you definitely want to see early game. At last, the final low cost is Challenge. At 2 energy, 1 orange power card that forces a fight between 2 units of your choice. Not only is this a good card to basically insta-kill any other unit your opponent has, but also it's one of the few cards in the game that deals damage to a unit outside of a battlefield, so having 2 is a good number to have. Moving into the 4 energy cards, we will start with Catalyst of Eons, another great card that is a 3 of. A strong card to have early game, this allows you to channel 2 runes, which is essentially like accelerated 1 free turn. And just like with Mobilize, even late game when you're at 12 runes, it lets you draw 1 card instead. Kiana will be your cheapest unit to have in this deck, however, it's also another good one to have 3 of. She may not be a mighty unit, but her effect more than makes up for it. Whenever she conquers, She allows you to draw one card or channel one rune. 90% of the time, you will want to channel the rune, but once you have all the runes that you need, drawing the extra card will be a lifesaver. Moving into the 5 energy units, we have Darius Trifarian. If he is already on board, the moment you play your second card for the turn, you may ready him and give him +2 might. Ideally, once you have at least 7 runes, you want to play him first, then play a cheap 2-cost card, then he's ready to move and hit for big damage. Misfortune is another incredible card that I love playing 3 copies. With Accelerate on her, you may pay 1 extra energy and 1 more orange power to bring her in ready. She has the ability of, the first time I move each turn, you may ready something else that's exhausted. Meaning, once you have her on board, the moment you bring something big like Volibear Furious, all you have to do is move her to ready Volibear Furious and have it move already. This ability is not only limited to units. You may also ready your Legend Volibear, so if you need that extra ramp, Misfortune will help you out. And that additional ability of ganking, which allows her to move from battlefield to battlefield, is just a cherry on top. Carnivorous Snapvine is a mean surprise to give your opponent. With a cost of 5 energy and 2 orange power, this unit deals damage to an opponent's unit in a battlefield when this is brought down. They deal damage to each other's mites, so be careful which units you're selecting. A good effect, but not as essential, so having 2 is also just as good. Bringer Thundersong is a card that I reference a lot. A card that gives you safety. Once you bring this unit down, your opponent cannot play cards for the rest of the turn. So once you're in late game ready to go for the win, just drop this unit down for that safety net. Due to how this is a game-ending card, and due to the 1 gear that I play in this deck, it's a good idea to just play as a one-off. Stormcloud Ursine is a great unit to see mid-game. It costs 7 energy but no power cost. It has 2 abilities. When you play me, channel 1 rune exhausted. This ability combined with your Legend Volibear, you are getting 2 free runes to that turn. On top of this, it has Tank, which can help you protect your units at a battlefield. Sadly, due to its high cost, we do have to keep it as 2 copies. Anivia Primal has a very interesting and powerful effect. When I attack, deal 3 damage to all enemy units here. It is definitely something you want to use against a battlefield that is full of different units. Sadly, you never know how the game will go or who you'll be going against, so having just 1 in the main deck is a safe bet. And if you want to keep more on the side just in case, that is also good to have. Tryndamere Vervarian is a scary unit for your opponent. When this unit attacks and conquers, if it deals an excess of extra 5 damage to an enemy unit, you get 1 free point. Mid-game, this is an okay effect to have that can help you win faster. But once you are at 7 points, this is when this card shines. Trying to get that victory point can be super tricky, but if you do get that point with this effect, you can effectively get the final point with no worries. However, due to this late game tactic, just 1 card is good enough. Sky Splitter may look like a high cost card at first, but it has an ability that reduces its energy cost by the highest might of a unit you control, which means, once you have Volibear on board, this card is effectively a 0 energy, 1 red power to play. It's still an action spell that deals 5 damage to an enemy unit on an opponent's battlefield, so it's a great thing to have as an offensive or defensive piece. Magma Worm has a great effect. As long as you control him, everything you play enters ready. As much as I want to see this card early game, it costs 8 energy and 1 red power to bring him down, so having 2 is okay. Plus, there's other cards that can ready and bring in units, so it's more of a support at this point. Dead Bloom Predator is an 8 energy, 2 orange power unit that can bring itself to an occupied enemy battlefield. This is a great way to surprise your opponent, especially if they have 1 or 2 units defending their battlefield. But again, due to its high cost, it's okay to have 2 of. Now, Dazzling Aurora is a very special card. It's the only gear in the deck, but with one of the most powerful effects. It's a 9 cost, 2 orange power gear that states, at the end of the turn, reveal cards from the top of your main deck until reveal a unit. Play it, ignoring this cost, and recycle the rest. Unlike other units that can bring you units ready, this gear will bring you a unit for free every single turn. And considering how you can play multiple of these on board, You can bring in multiple Giants units every turn once you have 2 or more in play. Due to this, it's a card I love having 3 of, not only to see it early, but to overrun my opponent if I ever get to have 3 of these on board. Now that we've seen all the cards that I have in my main deck, let us now look at the cards that are still good, but I didn't mention or added. As a great answer to kill units and use all runes available, we have Cleave. This is a good card if you want to guarantee that Conquer. A lot of times you end up with 1 or 2 runes left, so this is a good card to use for those scenarios or even against mirror matches. Unyielding Spirit is a good defensive piece to have. If you're facing against a deck that deals a lot of damage with spells or abilities, this is a good card to help you protect your units. For me, this works better as a side deck card. Get Excited can be a scary card if used correctly. An action spell that lets you discard 1 card and deal damage to an enemy unit at a battlefield. The damage is equal to the energy cost of the discarded card. Considering that most cards in this deck have high costs, this card can almost instantly kill enemy units almost every time. Sundisk is a good card that can help you bring a unit ready. The only condition that this card gives you is that you must play a card first before you try to play this effect. With early and mid game having you played about 1 card per turn, this won't be useful during those times, but late game this card can be super helpful, so if you have access to this card, I would highly suggest it. First Mate is a great card to have due to a variety of purposes. Whenever you bring him down, you can ready another unit. This can be used after you attack or after bringing a unit down late game. So how you use them will be able to give you the edge of the battle in that turn. Brazen Buccaneer is a mighty unit that can be played relatively cheap. By just discarding 1 card, you can pay just 4 energy to bring him down. This can be a quick mighty unit that you can bring in just by turn 2. Warwick is a card that I love a lot. I'm always struggling on how to make him work. Perhaps I will build a specific deck around him, and here's why. This unit always enters ready, which is already a great thing. Plus, whenever he attacks, he instantly kills all units that have been damaged before a fight even happens. At first, this may seem a little bit tricky, or maybe not much by itself, but when you play cards like Anivia, or even a cheap spell like Flurry of Blades, you will instantly kill everything on the battlefield. Sadly, that combo does rely on a lot of setup, plus Volibear units are already big enough, so that combo is just overkill. But it's still a good card to keep an eye out for. Master Yi Hone has a similar value as Warwick. A big unit that can enter ready is always valuable. Plus, with the additional effect of ganking, this card can be a menace. So if you have access to this unit, I would try it out. Kadregrin the Infernal is another interesting card. Whenever you play him, you draw 1 card for each mighty unit you control. As previously mentioned, with the low draw power we have in this deck, this card can be a good way to draw multiple cards, especially late game once you have a lot of mighty units on board. And with that, we have finished looking at another deck. Can't wait to see what type of Volibear decks everybody builds. Hopefully this video gives you some ideas on how to build your Volibear deck. As always, I am very curious to know, do you thought of any of these cards? Were some of these a surprise of you? Is there any other cards that you think are really good but I didn't mention? Make sure to let me know in the comments and I will be preparing on the next video to help out. But until then, thank you players, and until next time.